We're live on Facebook. Jay's running out right now because he's too scared to be on. He's got a political issue. What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? Back again. Me and Chris are on. We're on. We just ended out the HRT, and I hope some of you catch that. It was pretty in depth, and I appreciate the time of Dr. Wong and also my guest, Alan Campiano. Great job today, and I appreciate it. I ended up getting a lot of tips and stuff that came in about some stuff. So please, if you're interested in doing HRT and some other products or whatever, as I stated, Dr. Winnie Wong is very versed in it, and we do have some insightful people that we're connected to from Evecplex, and I keep saying it wrong. But what can I say? It was a great program earlier today. So welcome back to Security Tales, everyone. Today we're talking about some recent changes at the U.S. Department of Education that might just open up some opportunities up for Boston. So here we go. Grab your Dunkin' Donuts coffee and let's go. So Chris was so keen on getting this, so I'm going to let Chris start this one.
Before we get into that, I have to say I'm gonna reverse my position on something really big.
Oh, Chris, you know what? I'm still gonna love you no matter what side you jump on.
Here's the reversal of opinion. So on the closure of USAID, I'm reversing my opinion on that, on DOGE, on the whole thing, and let me tell you why.
Here we go.
Reversal of opinion, people. So this is freaking big news.
Big news.
So, my uncle, obviously I've known him my whole life. I just found out was working for USAID. And he got laid off, and him and his family now they got they're gonna have trouble making ends meet and stuff like that. And he spent 10 years of his life, 10 years studying whether or not chocolate and peanut butter taste better together.
You gotta be lying to me, bro. Yeah. You gotta be lying to me.
Yeah,
you gotta be lying.
So he got laid off. 10 years is a lot of time, and I don't know. I like chocolate. I like peanut butter, but I don't think chocolate and peanut butter taste good together. So
there's a Reese's cup.
So
but
I don't like
chocolate and peanut.
I don't like.
So wait a minute.
I think the research needs to continue.
How much money was he getting paid for this for 10 years?
Oh, like $250,000 a year.
You're freaking lying to me.
No.
So I know Heinz has testers that watch to see which ketchup drops the longest, like how long it takes to drip the ketchup out.
Yeah.
And I heard that job pays $125,000.
Yeah.
So he got to be $250K
yeah.
a year to taste chocolate and peanut butter.
Right. And he had other people working there as well. Whether or not that it's gotta, we gotta know whether that tastes better together. And I think that program, I think maybe they spent like $15 million on it, but I think it's completely worth it.
Okay. So you're with the Doge doing.
No, I want USAID reinstated and my uncle.
So he get his job back.
Gets his job back
and testing the peanut butter.
And we need to really find out whether or not chocolate and peanut butter taste good together.
But it's also going to help you because you're retired now. Maybe you can be the tester also.
Yeah, maybe
$250K.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Oh shit, that is funny shit. Oh, dude, that is bad. That is bad. So also one thing I want to bring up. Hold on, dude. I can't get it.
All right, people. I think I really do, and we all see it. I think he believes me. And I think we need to sell some waterfront land to Felipe because he'll fucking buy anything.
See, here's the sad part.
He was believing me.
So now I remember when I was a kid and I was looking into businesses, and there was a guy that had a suit on that had question marks all over it. And they says you could buy this book where government people have jobs and you can pick all jobs. And there was jobs like that. There's a taste water person that tastes and the government pays you $75,000 a year and you just have to apply to do it. So when you started saying that, I started remembering this guy back then. So now I believe you. So now I'll never believe you again.
All right.
And that's where it leads to.
All right, bro. I'm going to sell you this pen. Kennedy used it for $100,000.
Listen, if I can flip it, I'll do it. I'll do it in 2 seconds. Hey, so listen, all kidding aside, at the end of this, also Chris has brought something that's very humbling. His some pictures and stuff of his well, I'll have him say it. So Chris brought an album in, but go ahead, Chris. You can say what's in it.
No,
We'll discuss it at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
Okay.
Let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, and let's get off peanut butter and chocolate.
All right.
We all know they're better separate.
All right. So freaking ass wipe. So, all right. So the DOE is cutting over 1,300 jobs, right? And closing some offices, including the ones right here in Post, which I didn't know. When you started saying this, I was like, wait a minute. My cousin works at Post Office Square. He's Putnam Investments down there. So they're closing buildings down in office spaces. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, no. What's going to happen to our education funding? But hold on a second. Let's flip the script and look at the silver lining. Okay? Because some certain people don't understand the silver lining of this. So I know you might have some objectives. So when I'm saying this, let's begin. So I'm going to say what the positive stuff is. And then obviously you're going to tell me what? Agreed or you got to disagree? Because you don't know where I'm coming at.
I know where you're coming at, but now I'm flipping back. And yeah, I think, DOGE is a good thing. And layoffs are cool because, my fictitious uncle now has a job again.
You're a dick. So listen, first off, these cuts could mean less red tape. So I was also looking into the school districts and seeing the school and how it would affect the schools. So really think about this, okay? It's more freedom for the local schools to take charge. It's like when you finally clear out your closet, you find all kinds of hidden treasures. Local districts can now make decisions, right, that best fits our kids. And we all have kids, so we want the best decisions to be made. And I feel having something like that internally can get parents now more involved. I remember my mother used to go to PTAs and all these things. And so I'm thinking without waiting for an approval from the DC, it's a bit like when you realize you can make your own pizza at home and no more waiting for delivery. That's my point about that. And what I feel the positive is out of that. There's still more that I want to discuss, but what do you think about that?
All right. So federally, obviously there's waste everywhere. There still should be a Department of Education, should be significantly smaller. It should control simple things like kids go to school 182 days a year or whatever it is. Something along those lines. They should have a minimum baseline. But unfortunately, I agree with you. So I think it should be left to the states. And even furthermore, I think it should almost be left to the towns, what they do and how they teach it. They should have a minimum standard that they have to meet so that everybody has to meet it. But if I live in town A, I'm not going to pick on any towns today because I get yelled at. I live in town A and you live in town B.
Chelsea.
Lynn, I want my kids, to have a better education. I want my kids to go to school more than 182 days a year. I want my kids to go to school longer because, as one of your things you might have, I might be stealing some of your thunder. We spend the most money per student in the entire world for education.
Absolutely.
Yet we're ranked number 40th in the world. 40th
thought it was 36,
in education, which is ridiculous. So and I'll pick on let's pick on West Virginia, good people, whatever. But Massachusetts is a very, very, very educated state. People in West Virginia, a little bit rural. They should be able to choose what they want for their kids because my kid's education, Massachusetts was certainly different than a kid's education in West Virginia. Maybe a little bit more allocated towards, the farming or whatever they do down there, so the state should be able to make the decisions. And then on top of it, I think the town should be given some leeway because, when you have kids, you're looking to move to a town, you got town A and town B. You don't really care so much where you move, but
see, I frown on the term that you're using when you're saying like the towns. I think it should be each district has a community. So when you're disclosing the word town and you're making that statement, I feel that you're picking like selectmen or mayors and them to make a decision. I think it's a unity that causes a whole decision when it comes to that type of stuff. So I think it's you should design your own school committee because you do have the teachers there and you do have your principals there and all these other administration people that you're paying to pick the right structure of education. Like I don't personally understand where me going to school or you going to school, how much it's changed now, how much you don't have to do half of the stuff they do. Like when my daughter went to school, I know they got rid of history. And I'm like, what do you mean you got rid of history? Oh, we don't learn that. Then when I was sitting there screwing around with her and I was writing stuff down, she was like, what the heck is that? And I go, cursive. She goes, what is that? And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean, what is that? So I feel to bring value back into somebody, you have to focus on all these things that are no longer in there. So when you're saying town, I think when you say the word town, it's
Well, no,
certain.
what I'm saying is the educators of the town or the state should make the decisions, not like the mayor or the town council or anything like that.
Okay.
Obviously, they're experts. And here, I'll give you a tidbit from my daughter. So my daughter got, she's in a going to a really good school. She has like a 3.8 GPA, and she's a smart girl. She's a hard worker. She got in a program where they accept less than 2% of the people. And all up and through high school, and even now, I'd ask her all the time. So we're driving in the car. So your friend, you're over your friend's house and you get a pizza, and someone eats 3 slices of the pizza. What percentage of the pizza is left? And she's like, well, 5/8. No, what percentage? You have to convert it to percentage. I want the percentage. She's like, and she'll have to think about it. And half the time she doesn't give me the answer. I'm like,
I'll have to Google that.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You get A's, you're in college, and you can't tell. It's like the cursive thing. You can't tell me the simplest thing. What 5/8 equals as a percentage.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, even when I was in school, they didn't really teach you that unless you went into like Excel mathematics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I'm not disagreeing with you though.
Divided by 100 times 5.
I know I'm not disagreeing with you with that, but I also find that you also have to prepare for real world. Like half of the people don't know how to balance a checkbook. Yeah. Half of the people they don't have the education to know anything out when it comes to handling their finances or investments. Like they live check to check and they didn't know to put money. I remember when we were kids, we were always trying to figure out how to flip that money into something else. And then we listen to someone big, oh, put it in this, put it in that. I remember having a John Hancock account when I was a kid. And that was like a big investment company. I don't know if they're still around, but I think when it comes to the school, we need to start focus on the children and not just focusing on the school and realizing that these people are going to we're not all going to be here. So their kids, what's going to happen with them and their kids, and it feels like we're on a downward spiral. So here's a kicker though, that kind of made me mad. Massachusetts receives $720 million in federal education funds. That's a hefty chunk of change. But without the DOE breathing down our necks, we can explore new funding avenues. Imagine local businesses and community organizations stepping up to support our schools. Picture this. I was trying to figure out. So picture this. Support Our Schools event where local restaurants donate a portion of their sales to education initiatives, right? Now that's a win-win. Good food and good cause. You know what I mean? So I think when you start to think of certain levels and starting to think about bringing down prices, we should bring in, as you stated, the town, the community. So everyone, so I know I love California, San Diego area, and I know you don't, but what I find that interesting is each location basically pays for their own community. They fund their own community. So they make a decision to build their schools in that community where you're staying. So take, for instance, I love Pacific Highlands. In Pacific Highlands, they have a thing called a Melrose tax where you pay for new roads if it needs to be developed, sidewalks. So it's not encroaching on another city that's next to San Diego. It's not going after Los Angeles taxes. That own community funds its own self and ability to grow. So what do you think of that?
I think that's good because if you choose to do more for your schools, i.e., I want my kids to go to school an extra 10 days a year. Okay. So I should, as my community, should pay for that. But to your other quick statement about the 720 million, all that stuff, I'm kind of thinking, so if 720 million is going to Massachusetts, I'm kind of thinking if they do all this efficiency, get rid of some of these people, cut out some of the BS and the red tape, the 720 is still going to be there, but the 720 is going to be more now because they've cut costs, they've cut buildings, they've cut employees.
Yeah.
So that 720 may be whatever, 800, right? So now the money's still going to be there. It's not like it's going away because it's still in our federal taxes, it's still in the budget, it's still everywhere. So by cutting out all these costs, I'm saying that the money will be more, which will be even more beneficial. Right? Because that's the whole part of cutting costs, right? It's, it's your checkbook.
So you're basically saying, so you're kind of looking at it like what? Like this move could spark some type of real innovations within your own central community. Okay, I see where you're going. With more control, schools might come up with their own creative programs that cater specifically to our communities. It's having a local chef who knows exactly how to spice up the classic dish. It's tailored to our taste. We could see local mentorship programs. Is that so? Because I was just thinking of different types of things to come up with. So you can come up with a mentor programship. You can come up with a partnership with tech companies, or even unique after-school activities that bring everyone together in that community. Right. So you want to build your own federal income so we can offset it. And as you stated, now you could save your funds and not expedite so much money out. Right.
Right.
Okay. So anything else to that one?
But, to that budget thing, remember what I told you before when I ran a department of the state and, we had a budget.
Yeah.
You always have to spend all your money. There's no rewards for not spending your money. So that's part of the big problem.
But you need to allocate it correctly.
Well, at the end of the year, I told you the example. Hey, at the end of the year, hey, boss, I saved $100 million out of my budget. And my boss is going to be like, you need to spend that money because now you're not going to get it next year. So like the same idea, let's look at it as a smaller example, right? The state, I believe, is, I didn't research it, but I got to say the state's taken in a lot more money than it was between the marijuana revenue, revenue, the tax, I can't remember the numbers, but I think the guy was telling me like Encore Casino alone's giving like $200 million a month to the state.
Really?
Millions and millions of dollars.
I didn't know that.
So all this extra money is coming in, but where's it all going?
Where is it going?
It's the same concept. The more money they have, the more money they spend. If they increased our taxes from 6% to 16%?
6.25.
Yeah. If they increased to 10%, it would still be gone. They wouldn't at the end of the year say, hey, we got some money left over. No, the idea is to spend all the money and ask for more. Unfortunately.
I don't get it.
Nope.
So let's not forget the equity of it all, right? So this is a chance for us to step up and ensure that every student gets the support they need. Okay. I also I was thinking about kind of like federal government. I was thinking takes back a seat. We can really together as a community, imagine this: parents, teachers, and local leaders uniting for a common cause. It's like a Boston block party, okay, in each community. And everyone brings something to the table. And I think if you look at it like the DOE, if they go the right directions of it, there's so much that we can constantly bring forward. And, as we kept saying, you stated it, that we need to work together. But my problem is, how about the naysayers that don't want to join the team, that want to push to say, you know what? No, we want to keep all these educators in there. We want to waste the time and finances because this is how we get rid of some of the money. So in order for us to get rid of some of this money so we can hide other money, we need these people. Do you believe that?
I believe there's insane amounts of waste. Obviously, nobody's going to ever admit it, but they're not going to say, oh, yeah, I love my job. I go to work like 2 days a month and, I hardly do anything,
See, it's weird you said that because I was going to ask you that.
Who's going to say that?
I know when I worked at State Street, right? I had the honor to work with some great guys. State Street building. I was the account manager there. I used to see all the security teams. I had great learning experience. I did investigations with them. It was just a vast amount of knowledge to them. But they had a green day on Friday. Green day on Friday, nobody that worked for State Street had to come in unless you're really essential and you need to get in there. So each location in each area of the building, there was nobody in it. Then they got rid of it because the trust that they put into these people, they give you these key fobs. I had one too, but only because I obviously security, you're on 24 hours. So I would stick my key fob in and it would, dictate to that you're on and this and that. So go to find out, you would say about 80% of the people were at bars, were hanging out. They would have their laptop on, but it would just be plugged in. They would hit a letter or two and then just do whatever they do. So what I gathered was that some of that was going on with the DOE, that some of the people were basically like, I don't know what the percentage is, but they were all remote. So I'm just trying to figure out what all these people that are supposedly losing their jobs, you're all remote. And I'm just trying to see the value in it. I'm not saying that everyone isn't remote, doesn't do their job, but I'm just saying that a large percentage of it, I know for a fact, a friend of mine that worked for the IRS was happy that they're bringing back people and saying you all need to come back to the office. And a large percentage of them was like, screw that, I don't want to go back. But only because that person knew that's all these people were doing. They were partying, they were doing their thing, and really, oh yeah, they have people over, the house, computer going and doing it. You have federal work you're looking at. You have stuff that no one has privy to see it. You've gone through so much credential checks in order to get this. But now you're out there freely doing it. You know what I mean? You understand where I'm leading this to?
Yeah.
So it kind of upsets me that we're losing building spaces because now the workforce has declined. I feel it's that businesses that are trying to come in to help the community build. Take, for instance, Woburn, right? Woburn was funded on an industrial. That's all it was industries is what brought it up. You could build $1 million house there and pay absolutely low for taxes because a lot of it's taken on by the industries. Obviously, some of the industries that went to Woburn at the times in the early 1900s weren't the best businesses to be there. They caused a lot of harm to individuals that now live there, and that's sad. But Woburn's always been an industry, an industrial town, I should say. So what do you think from what I'm saying? Like all that stuff, when you start to take away from it, I don't understand.
Again, we'll give our empathy to the guys who are losing their job that were doing nothing for a long time. We feel bad.
I take that. I wouldn't be taking it back.
Whatever.
You
feel a little bit. You feel bad for the family.
I lost my job. You go what? Get up and do it again.
Well, they are giving them 8 months of severance, so it's not too bad. Plus, after 8 months of severance, then they can collect unemployment.
Really?
So anyway, on that, and not even to that extreme. You talked about partying and bars and stuff like that. No, forget about that extreme. This is just the other normal everyday stuff. My neighbor, who's been working at home since long before COVID, just always has for like 15 years, and nothing, he's probably doing his job, but I'll see him out there. It's during the day, and then all of a sudden he's cutting his lawn for like an hour and a half. Like, hey, Tony, hey, you busy? He's like, no, my next call's not for like 2 hours. So, and then, the next day he's washing his car, and the next day he's doing yard work. I'm like, that'd be awesome to be able to do all your yard work and stuff during the week, and then on the weekends you get nothing to do. So
you would say what? Maybe 20% of the work is done at home and 80% is freedom.
I wouldn't go that far unless you got like a terrible, an unbelievable no-show job. I mean, I would, I'd give them like 50-60%. There's a lot of waste of time, but again, and I'm not defending them, but there's a lot of waste of time in the office too.
See, but and I hate when people say that because if you're completed a job, there's always another job to do.
Right.
So I always tend to do this with my staff and stuff like that. If there's nothing to do, there's always something to find to do. So if you have nothing going on, then clean your desk. It might seem like something simple. You clean your desk, you empty your drawers, you go through your folders, you go through all your checklists, you go through everything, you open up your drive, you double check things. There's always something to do because then when I call you to ask you this and then I notice a mistake, then there's something to do. And now, you know what? Since you said that, I'm going to use an example. Okay. So I know my staff's listening and watching, but obviously, you know this. We have a employee handbook, right? Every job has an employee handbook, correct? Okay. So usually you have to check it, I would say in a monthly, you check it to make sure that everything's updated because sometimes employment laws change. And you also want to make sure that if you're taking on new contracts, those new policies are added to those contracts, and your handbook has to stipulate to what's going on, not specifically to that contract, but the change that's occurred. Because legally, they need to know exactly what the company's protocols are and policy. So we have a policy procedure for a site, and then we have a handbook that covers all of it. Okay, you know this. State police have a handbook. So I say to my team, my administration team, which I will not say a word.
Better clean your friggin' desk.
Yeah. I say to them, hey guys, I got a contract right now. They are doing a TRP, which basically just means they need to do a review of all your policies before they hire you. They want to make sure that it's completed correctly. They want to make sure that you as a company solidify who you are. So if I'm telling you I built this book page by page, and it literally took me, when I first started my company, I would say probably about 2 weeks, and in a good 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay. Because the other 4, I was stomping the grounds trying to close contracts. So I asked them, did you guys review this? Because you guys told me you guys review it all the time. It was all updated, everything. Correct? Yup, it's a go. Send it out. I am on vacation, my wedding anniversary with my wife. Something inside me, you know how we are. We're like, okay, yeah, but you know what? Let me double check that. Not only did I double check it, the last time that handbook was revised was in 2022. I still had names of that as administrators from people that I had in 2021. Okay. I had policies in there that are no longer. I had sick time policies, AMR policies, everything that needed to be taken out. Okay. I had to go through page by page, page by page. I gave half of it to the director and I said, you're doing this. I'll check this half. You do this half. This, because I promised the client, and I'm a man on my word, 24 hours, you'll receive this book, 300-page handbook. You're getting this. Trust me, we're going to do it. But like you said, sometimes there's no work to do in the office. If I say to you, that was a job that you're assigned to and you're supposed to review everything, there's always a job. It depends how much you care, how much you want to devote yourself to the company. It depends how much you want to grow with that company, because Lord knows I don't call employees because they're teammates. Without my teammates, company can't grow. Without me growing, I can't give you more money. So if you're just happy where you're at, like I say to everyone, you're better off going somewhere else, because I'm looking to exceed. And if you want to excel with me, the better you do, the better we do. But first, you have to represent it. And the better we do as a whole, the better your pockets get, because I'm not the type of guy that wants to hold everything for myself. And a lot of them know that. But, back to the DOE. So a lot of them are remote people, and yet you're seeing so many failures. So I know for a fact, you give me that opportunity to work from home, oh, I'm nonstop, except for bathroom breaks. I'm going to be nonstop because I know the importance of it. And I know the level of control because I have a child and I want to see further accomplishment. I want to see my child grow up to be the next president. Could it happen? Obviously, it happened to Trump twice. So, you know what? So that's how I feel. So while some see these cuts as a loss, I'm choosing to see them as an opportunity for us to come together and create something special, just like a good bowl of chowder. I love chowder, love chowder. So if anybody's watching that gets chowder, tell me where to go. And each ingredient adds its own flavor, and together they make something delicious. So, all right, folks, that's for today on that subject matter. But I believe Chris wanted to talk about some, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Let's just say, we're going to dive into the wild world of Boston politics and housing decisions. Because today we did have a podcast, and I do appreciate everybody showing up with that at 9 a.m. That was a little, I ran it at 9:20, and I do extend my apologies to Dr. Wong. We had a little Zoom issue. Still trying to figure out some shit on it in plain English. So, you know, I do apologize for that. But for the ones that have joined us, and I know Maria had spoken to me in person, and there's been a little situation. Maybe it's on my side. She said when she jumps on, she had a lot of questions to ask, but it didn't come up on the YouTube screen. So I do extend my apologies on that, Maria. We will look into that. If someone's on and they could send a message on it, I just want to see it. Maybe I got to hit something on the system, or maybe not. Maybe it's Maria. Lord knows she's good at watching. What are those things there that the women watch? Not soap operas, but the real world stuff.
I don't know. Anime?
No, not anime. She watches like these people like that get dressed up and married to a doctor, but you don't know my side of the life.
Oh yeah.
Kind of she what that stuff.
Yeah, Lies of Atlanta.
Yes. That's that type of crap. She loves that. So all right. So here, all right. Let's talk about it. So now let's talk about our gal Michelle Wu and her bright idea to turn these old office buildings into apartments. Finding this pretty interesting, to be honest with you. I mean, who wouldn't want to wake up in a former cubicle, nothing like starting your day with a view of the break room? So I want to see, like, what are you actually going to do with these things? You're going to tear them down and restructure them and do them?
All right. So this is, they always talk. All right. So this is going to solve the housing crisis. And this is also going to help the rich get richer, if you will, which I know, Wu and them are always against the rich people for whatever reason. Because so I have an apartment building. It's almost vacant. I'm like getting screwed. I'm paying my mortgage. I'm paying my tax. I'm paying everything else. Now they get this bright idea. And I saw this story like before I came in. There's like, I don't know, like 300 permits requests in Boston. There's several buildings in Lexington, which is a very high-end town, as we know, to convert these things to housing. They're not all necessarily going to be low income. They're just converting it to housing. But so it's going to help these people. You want apartment buildings, you got bank, right? That's obvious. So, I mean, it's going to be, construction too. It's going to be insanely expensive.
Right now, construction wood alone is insanely expensive.
Forget about wood. Now we're talking an apartment building, which has whatever, I don't know, 6-inch thick concrete floors or whatever it is, right? Steel construction. They're going to have to put plumbing in all those friggin' apartments, and that's going to be insanely expensive. It will work out in the end because they have a building.
But who picks up that cost then?
The guy who owns the building is going to pick up the cost with I'm sure some tax breaks. But I mean, is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know.
I get it, Chris. I get it, but I don't agree with it. She's trying to tackle.
I don't agree with it either.
I just think she's trying to tackle the housing crisis. But let's get real, bro. Seriously, let's just get real. Do we want to be living in a place that smells like stale coffee and printer ink? Welcome to your new home type of theme. It's like I don't understand it. I disagree that they're gonna get that involved with repairing it. I know me, if I owned a building like that, and to assume the cost on it. So let's just say this: I had a prior client, right? Security once again, and they ended up taking over Envision Hotel, and they made that into a homeless shelter. Okay, now hotel's pretty nice to me. It looks like one of those what are those things where hostels?
Hostels, yeah.
Hostel, right? So it kind of looked like a hostel to me, but nice, right? You're getting platinum screen TVs, a bed to die. Like, to me, if I was visiting the city, I would find a location like that in Boston and I'm stay at it because it was nice. You know what I mean? Lay down for a second and then get up and go do what I got to do. They made that into a homeless shelter, right? So I have my security staff there. Now, right beside it, you're not able to get a condo there for under $700,000. right? So obviously, you're dealing with homeless, you're dealing with everybody that's in there. We continuously had to deal with the police coming over because the neighbors that were in the condo next to the hotel did nothing but complain. They didn't want the people hanging out. They didn't want, there was drug exchange that was current happening. They were it's a 24-hour operation. It wasn't controlled. You can come and go as you please. No one can hold you. You could step outside your location and smoke cigarettes. They've never had to deal with that. And God forbid that my staff had to deal with it. And God bless everyone that had to do with it. There was an individual that ran and ended up getting shot and killed in their driveway. And one of my security staff witnessed it. And God bless them, he handled it well. But you're thinking that all this was brought to this hotel, that this guy now, after it's all said and done, it literally came from a nice hotel, very clean, very well organized, to a place that I would not walk into just to tour. It's that bad. It's disgusting. So you're telling me as a property owner, I'm going to say, well, geez, I'm going to get paid, but yet I'm going to bring heat to a community that is a affluential community. And I'm not saying every homeless is bad, but you're also, you're talking to someone that had to deal with it from a security, this is what I do. And everywhere I go, there's, 3 out of 5 of them have combative. 3 out of 5 of them are on drugs. It's bad. It's bad out there. And I love it how people can talk and then say, oh, I see it. It's not as bad as you think. And I'm like, I'll call you bullshit, God, because we do security. We go to these locations. This is one of our major issues, our vagrants and trespassers. Then you're going to tell me, well, they have no place to go. Well, now you got to give them a go. And I'll tell you something. They even tell it to your face. They're like, well, you know what? I'll come and go as I please, and I'll do what I want. And sometimes I'll sleep out there and then come in. They've been so bred that none of them want. They could only they just want what is it? Three meals in a cot for just one night and then go back out, even though they have the opportunity to stay there. So I'm against that. I think that, what you should focus on is more or less not the homeless, but your veterans. I think you should focus on women that have been abused, your 209As, ones that need to have a home and they don't have family members and they need to be brought somewhere and have security, guard that place and stuff. Because if I tell you we've dealt with pimps at this location pulling up where my guys have been telling them to go, but we can't because it's a local public street. So, they're picking up their girls to go work. It's like, come on, bro. I don't see anything positive out of this.
So, no, tidbits on that. Just I would touch on it real quick. The owner of that place doesn't live there.
Oh, absolutely correct.
Right, what I'm saying, or in that area. So he doesn't care. He goes from whatever, 50, 60, 70%.
Well, we don't know if it's a him.
Him or her.
The person.
Goes from 50, 60, 70% occupancy to 100% occupancy. And it's back to what I said before. It's all about the money. All you're doing is making the rich people that Democrats seem to hate richer because now he has 100% occupancy. So
but don't you believe? Care. So I understand that he's getting the money for the moment.
Right.
For the moment. Now your property literally, Chris, it is falling apart. It is so.
They put holes in the walls.
It's not even holes.
But
they
the
go
in
in
and repairs it.
I know, but it doesn't get repaired.
In the end,
they're like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. Now you're gonna have to basically get a team to go check these places out to make sure after they're built, right? Think about this. After they're built, now a person like you're saying, per se, we built this place, got it going. Now people are moving in. Now we're gonna have to pay that extra charge because guess what? You're definitely gonna need security. Like it or not, you're gonna need security, or it's gonna impact law enforcement. And I'm only telling you this because we're dealing with places that, oh, we don't need security. And then a month later, it's you're dealing with security because you're placing people that don't know each other in one little local area and they're banging into each other, some drugs, some users. It's a situation. Trust me. Now you're going to have someone that's destroying the rooms and doing whatever. These people are going to live the way they want to live. These people are going to destroy the location. There's going to be some that are basically going to be, perfect. Then you're going to have those other ones, right? So now this guy's going to be responsible to fix it. Who's going to make him responsible for it? Who's going to go in there and check it? So now you're going to have to hire that person to go in. Now you're developing more work, more time,
Right.
right?
And again, I'm not disagreeing with the veterans and all that, obviously, and all that good stuff. We're just more talking about the landlords and the purpose of doing this. So the landlord's going to do one of two things, and you hear about it every day, every winter in the news. He's either going to become a slumlord and let the place fall apart, okay, but he's still collecting his rents, and or he has kind of a crappy tenant. The tenant lives there for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Does some damage, breaks cabinet doors, whatever. Doesn't does a significant amount of damage. Say he does for a number. And remember, he's got people who do this on the cheap. Does $10,000 worth of damage. He just collected rent for 3 years. The person does $10,000 worth of damage. I guarantee on his tax form, it's $30,000 worth of damage, which will help offset the rents that he makes. So it's just a revolving door. And it's the fastest way in the world to get rich.
I understand that. But what about the folks, bro? What about the folks already living there? How about, the ones who've been in that neighborhood since before the Red Sox, bro? You're talking about, before the Red Sox won the World Series. And, you're talking about people that's been their family staple forever. Suddenly they're going to be surrounded by hipsters who think a Boston Lager is just a fancy way to say beer. It's I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to swallow, man.
Yeah, but I understand, and it's not right for them, but there's nothing that's going to change it. It's just like those apartment buildings. So, a hotel's a lot easier to convert, obviously, because it has the plumbing. So the apartment building is going to cost a lot of money to convert. But I think there was 3 buildings in Lexington that they were talking about on the news. Those 3 buildings aren't going to be for low income. There might be a percentage of it. I don't know.
Well, it has to be a percentage,
but those will be $3,000-$4,000 a month apartments. So the guy's going to make bank. So again, are we really helping people? No, because all we're doing is, again, that guy who has a significant amount of money, if he owns apartment buildings, he's just going to be richer because now his empty apartment building is going to be now full with people paying $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom.
I love how you keep going. He's going to be richer. He's going to be richer. Well, you know what?
I mean,
hold on. So let's
the poor helping the rich.
So here we go. Let's just break that down. So let's not just forget, okay? When that's done and said, all right. So you just said some of it wasn't only for homeless, I believe, right? So I didn't know that. I basically didn't see that at all. But if everyone moves in, where are we gonna park? I mean, parking's already a nightmare down there. You think you're gonna find a spot for your car, even when there's a whole bunch of new neighbors fighting over the same street space? Like right now, what's going on? The parking is ridiculous. Even in the North End, I remember when I used to live by there, and it was always great to walk down and be able to stand out there. Now it's like I think it's great that there's side restaurants down there, but I also think it takes away from the ambiance. Like people now can't go there. Now what happens is you're having commercial deliveries. Now they're parking right on that street, and guess what? You gotta wait for them to empty that goddamn truck out and do all their deliveries because you only had one lane to go to. So how about that effect on all of it? Like, did they think of all that shit, you think?
I mean, not at all. Even in my small town that I live in, they're putting up apartment buildings left and right. And everybody jokes because it's actually one of the most corrupt towns in the state. And everybody jokes.
Do we want to know where it is?
It's a nice town, but they joke. I mean, they put up this huge apartment building and there's like zero.
That's called Concord Prison.
Zero parking. And this is in a suburb town out by 495. There's zero parking, and everyone jokes. It's like, yeah, it was a bag of cash to get that building permit approved, and it's.
Well, you just said something. What happens if the business market bounces back? What happens with that? So now we have apartment housing that's now just took over business offices. So that means no more businesses, right? Small percentage.
Yeah. Oh, what they're converting to what they have, and they'll just build more. Hey, I'm going to drive to Boston on Saturday. I guarantee I see 4 brand new buildings going up.
Oh, drive over Zachem. You're seeing them right there.
And you're like, why? Right? Because it's like commercial space is fucking.
That's why it's
yet
Woo. It's Woo's Wonderland.
and they're building more. They're building more buildings. It doesn't make sense.
It absolutely doesn't. With no office left, right? Your new apartment is now a tech startup, right? It doesn't make sense to me, bro. So I just, to me, it's just so much negativity about it occurring and happening because maybe I'm looking at it as a business owner. And also, I've had rental properties and I understand how properties work. And I understand that it's great funding. And I'm just against it.
So I'm against it too. But here's the smoke and mirrors behind the whole brief synopsis of it. So a number they do 50 offices into whatever 2,000 apartments, right? And here's they're going to get up there and they're going to tote it because we put in 2,000 apartments. We put in 25% of them are low income, and all these people have a great place to live. Now these 50 or whatever business owners, are doing better financially now, and who do they have to thank? Mayor Wu, with little cash. Hey, I got a tidbit for you. I was looking it up. That's why I was playing on my phone. So sorry. I wanted to get the number accurate. So Wu's trip to DC, how much did that cost Boston taxpayers?
So here's my question. When Wu goes, does she have a protective unit?
I'd say so, yes.
Okay, so she has a travel and security team.
Couple of Boston cops.
I was going to say Boston PD, which they like their detail money. I would say 200 grand.
650.
$650,000.
And
where does she stay though?
She probably just, I don't know where she stayed, so I can't say that. But 650 grand. She was probably there for like 2 days.
Answer me this though: how much does she make a year, and how much is her net worth?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I couldn't find it.
I'm sure her net worth will quadruple in the next 4 years.
So I always look to see what politicians make and what their net worth is and all that. Some reason I could not find her or Healy's.
Well, when she was running, there was some little scuttlebutt that she was getting like 0 interest loans and stuff like that for her house, but none of it was ever verified or true. Well, just like I know for a fact, Pocahontas got a 0 interest loan from Harvard.
Why?
It's because part of her package when she was getting paid like 250 grand to teach one course and all that other good stuff.
It's funny. It's funny how the world changes when you're not in the know.
Yeah. Last tidbit on Wu, and nothing against the girl, but whatever.
What are you talking about? Everything. She's a great person, I guess, right?
How much? So she had an attorney. I don't know why an attorney would do it, but she had an attorney prep her, to speak in front of the, because they're smart, right? And they know laws, hopefully. And her attorney fee was, I don't know how many hours, $950 an hour for him to prep her.
Well,
$950.
But hold on, I'm going to tell you something. So I was, me and my wife were just involved in something, and just to sit with the attorney was like almost that cost. It's amazing where if you want a great attorney, I can't say it isn't that price though, bro. We can discuss prices of the attorneys on cases later on.
That's the I talked to some attorney was telling me it's $5,000 to sit down with them.
Yeah.
But
get what you want.
Right. But that's a sit down, and that's, you're going to talk about a lot and you're going to straighten a lot out there. But now, so the sit down is X, but now he was charging $950 an hour for every hour, which is, it's a little high.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's a wonderment of the world. That's it. So listen, everyone, I'm going to take this moment and first thanking all of you that joined us once again. And you know what? Like we always say, keep asking, and we'll put stuff together. One of the things I didn't even say to Chris, but I'll say right now is I've been getting a lot of people. I don't understand. I find it kind of humorous. They want to hear some convict stories, or they want to hear some arrest stories. They want to hear, prison stories and whatever it is. I have no problem discussing that, and I'm sure Chris doesn't. But sometimes in life, I think they're just stories, and it's fun to hear about them. And Lord knows I have some humorous ones, And there was a guy that was in the joint that constantly got beat up. So what does he decide to do to protect himself?
Throw poo.
Almost. He decides to mix poo and milk together and put it all over his body. I believe that plot. So sadly to say that their cigarettes, which is illegal, he used to have to put poo all over his face, and then where you tell stories like that and things like that, which I have no problem telling, which we will have a day we can discuss that. But I think it's kind of senseless to discuss things that aren't so positive in life. And sometimes it's funny to add something into it or something. And then when I see someone like, well, hey, Felipe, how come you're not doing, podcasts for the fights, the joints, tag team and stuff like that? Because I don't think harming another individual or trying to grab somebody to slam him down is really news to me. And I think that when people jump on the air and they're telling you stories of, I've murdered this or I've done that, I don't find it entertaining. You know what? I find that there's less one person in this world, even though sometimes it's a good thing, but it doesn't give you the stature to talk about things like that. And you get these huge followers off people that think it's more comical or more humorous and whatever. And then another person says, you guys should go live and go around and catch things that happen. I'm not a phone tagger. I don't turn around and pull my phone out for someone getting in an argument and try to make millions off things like that. We decided to do this. Like I said, Chris is a very dear friend of mine. We've known each other since we were kids. And we wanted to do this for us because we, he was busy with his family. I was busy building my company, and we wanted to sit down and chat. And we decided what better to do and what formula it is to go live, because we rag on each other. We're going to be having guests coming in. Like I had Alan earlier. I had my buddy, Kevin Crowley from K9. We have so many different outlets and discussions on things that we want to discuss. But if you guys think, that's more of a pull, then I hate to say it, maybe you need to go to that channel and watch some guy that tells you he did 25 years and this is what happened. He hid blades up his butt and drugs and this and that. That's more entertaining, then so be it. But mad love to my boys and crew and people that I know, but I'm just it's not me. It's not me. Will I bring in some ex-correctional officers? Will we bring in some officers to discuss some stuff? Yeah, but we want to discuss things that could help you guys out and understanding that it is two different worlds. Anything you want to add to that, Chris?
No, it will. We have to verify the statute of limitations on some of that stuff as well. Yeah, no, it's definite. We're trying to help people. We're trying to.
I'm not trying to help them. We're giving.
We're trying to inform you, which is
yes,
a form of help.
Which I do appreciate, Catherine White.
Yeah,
that always throws me. That was wrong, and then I go and look, and I go, "Oh, you're right," and then I go on and say, "I screwed up."
And by the way, up until like a year or two ago, I was not a political person, even though I freaking certainly sound like one now. I couldn't care less about politics. But,
well, listen, I think a lot of us really didn't, even at a young age. So listen, I don't want to make this any longer, but Chris had come in, and I keep saying this every day. So there's two things I wanted to talk about. There was nothing going on, no movement on the Edgar Delgado Garcia case. So like I said, I'm going to mention it every time. And every time we find out something on this matter, there hasn't been any movement on this. And this in plain English is bullshit. They should have something. I have such compassion for the family, for the department that cares, but there's somebody that knows more, and it needs to be brought out. It's 100% bullshit the length of time this is taking now. Also, Chris, anything on that?
No, just I don't know how long it takes, but how long the coroner take? A week, a month? So the coroner report's out, everything's out, the freaking videotape, so it's all bullshit. It's just I think they're just keeping it under wraps until people get a chance to retire or leave office.
Yeah.
So they don't get in the SH.
So listen, for those of you that are on with us live right now, Chris, I've been all over him to bring in. He went national. He went worldwide with the loss of his canine officer dog that he had. What was your dog's name again?
That was Dante.
Dante. I've met Dante in person many times, and I used to be scared crap of him. And Chris would say, "Don't worry, he's all fine." And he used to come right up to my groin area growling. And Chris was like, "He's not going to touch him." I'm like, "Chris, get your dog. Chris, get your dog." Chris used to think it was funny, but Chris had brought in a book, and I want you guys to see it. And he had asked me, because I asked him to read something. But first, I want to share with you guys some pictures before I read the poem that Chris. This is it right here, right? Yeah. All right. So, Chris, if I'm looking at the first picture, let's go with the first picture. What's this picture of?
That's my boy, just with the nice backdrop. He's the most beautiful dog in the world.
All right.
Beautiful boy.
Next
Again,
picture.
Same pic.
Yeah. This is how much Chris loves him.
This is put together, and this is some busts and stuff like that we did.
So name off some of the busts you came at.
Awards. We found, coke, hundreds of pounds. He actually has. Okay, we go 1.2 million. That was for my letter. 1.2 million views on the letter that Felipe is going to read to you. Let me skip to the end because I don't want to get this any further. So that's we were interviewed by Carmen Sacchetti. There's my beautiful daughter, my son, my wife. That's Felix, my new boy, which was just as good. This is us getting interviewed at the barracks. Carmen Sacchetti, I think it was, who interviewed us. There's my ugly mug. So it was all over the news. It was, by the way, news stories go in order of importance. It was Obama, then me. So, I don't quite agree with that.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
But look, so it was picked up, and this is my mother-in-law put this together for me. It was picked up in Australia, Netherlands, Czechoslovakia, Croatia, Italy, Australia. These are all news articles actually from the country in which they were in England. Huffington Post, Barstool Sports, Ellen Show, Daily Mail, his Huffington Post, and it was picked up all over the world. And I was saying before, he, I can't read that one, but he has the largest cash seizure in Massachusetts history, which was around 14 million cash.
Jesus. So listen, I know this is kind of heartfelt for Chris and also for me, but Chris has now given me the honor to read exactly what the poem is, but he also didn't tell me how small the writing is. So let's just go. A Lost Ride by Trooper Chris Kasha. It was a cold, snowy day. Training was canceled. Like I said, training was canceled due to the snowstorm, and I was left with an inevitable task of when I should make the decision to put my partner of nearly 9 years to sleep. Dante was a great dog. He was a big, beautiful black and tan shepherd. I often described him as a look-alike for the dog in the show, Run, Joe, Run. For those old enough to remember that program, he had a regal look with his big head, ears, and large stature. He had his own personality. Most dogs are just dogs, but you sometimes run into the ones that are somehow as much human as they are dog. A type A dog was only to be touched by those closest to him, sometimes not even by them. Dante was the best described as one person dog, and as tough as he was for other people to get close to, our relationship never wavered. Every morning when I opened the door to his kennel, he would jump on me, wrap his paws around me in my waist, get his morning greeting and pat from me, storm up the stairs and push the door open, ready to go to work. During Dante's career, he was able to answer calls in towns as far west as Lee, North Adams, and Shrewsbury, and calls as far as East and Brighton, and even for a few of his last successful calls on the South Shore. Once he was able to track and locate a guy who had just murdered his girlfriend. And another time, he located a cash seizure that was several times greater than the previous largest seizure in Commonwealth history. During his career, he helped to rid the streets of drugs. He was able to locate and assist in the seizure of more than 1,000 grams of heroin, more than 8,600 grams of cocaine, one seizure of more than 7 pounds that had been canned mechanically, more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana, and more than 14 million in cash. Wow. Dante was very intelligent. One day, when I was out with him, I made the mistake of teaching him to open the cruiser door, a task which took 5 minutes. Once I showed him how, from that, Dante figured out the doors open with handles, and all have to do is grab them with your mouth and pull or turn. He took this new knowledge and taught himself to slide open the glass or the door that separated us in the cruiser, his way to always be close to me. While on patrol, he would occasionally stick his head through for his occasional air rub. When you see such a powerful, intelligent dog so helpless, at times it somehow made the events that follow even harder. It all started one day while taking Dante out to his kennel. He collapsed on me, falling like a rock with no control of his body. After several tests, it was obvious to the vet that Dante had pulmonary hypertension, a disease of unknown cause that prevented him from getting enough oxygen to his lungs and making him collapse. Whoa. The right side of his heart was enlarged, causing poor blood circulation. As the weeks went on, he started getting seizures because of the same lack of oxygen to his brain. He had one of these seizures in the yard the other day, and after I sat on the ground in the snow with him, patting him, calmly waiting for it to be over, I came in the house. Upon walking in, to my dismay, I realized my wife and 2 children, what was coming to be, possibly sooner than we were ready. My son was sitting very somberly, thinking, if we don't dwell on it, things will get better. My son and daughter were 3, and I respectfully, when I got Dante, they knew him practically their entire life. The day came when it was time to take him to the vet for the inevitable. After more than 2,300 rides that we took together, the dog, who had trouble making it out to the yard just feet away, sat upright in his car for one last ride. It was a ride I had delayed for 8 hours. Just driving around with him, as we did so many times, struggling with the decision to put him down. He sat upright, alert as ever, checking the perimeter, always on guard. How does a dog who can barely breathe remain upright and vigilant for so long? Man, I sit here writing the obituary in a parking lot, not 2 miles before we reach our final destination. My story is as written, and although it jumps about, it is written from the heart. I write like this with the tears in my eyes flowing freely down my face. Dante is still somehow sitting upright, watching me as I write about him. Every once in a while, sticking his head through the cage, letting me know things will be all right. But the more he reassures me, the more I wonder if what I am doing is right. I am glad he made it through the holidays. My wife's birthday was yesterday. I did not want to do that to her. For her to remember her birthday as the day we put down Dante would forever bring tears to her eye. Much as it does to me as I write this with every new thought and remembrance of my partner. Each paragraph brings a new thought and anguish for me. Thank you, Chris. That was beautifully written. Definitely teared me up. And my prayers to Dante, and I'm sure he's protecting God up in there and doing what he does best, riding with God's cruiser and protecting them.
Yep.
That was beautifully written, bro. Beautifully written, bro.
It wasn't written for publication. It was written for me, and one person got a hold of it and it went viral, as the kids say.
Well, it deserves to go viral. He did a lot for the department, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share that. Got me choked up, which is hard to do. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us and giving me an opportunity, and having Chris give me an opportunity to read about his the loss of his canine from the Mass State Police that passed. And then thank you so much for spending some time with us today to hear us babbling, all the Boston babble by Security Tales, me and Chris, and how we see things. Anything you want to say?
Nope. Thank you. Give us something to talk about, something that interests you, something that may help you, and give us something to run with. Thanks.
Definitely. Stay tuned
safe
for next week, same time. Ciao for now. Good poem, bro.